Time for Type 40 Live, the Doctor Who livestream magazine show across your view screen on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook too. We're serving up another helping of all things Doctor Who from way back then, whichever stop, whatever decade, to the right here and the right now, all with a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions just like you. And there's a lot less blue in the Whoniverse as we begin another week. This is our early edition, and we'll be paying tribute to a colourful character on and off screen, and lots more besides. As copper glow to proceedings this time, I think. Yeah, that'll make a change, won't it? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. This is Type 40 Live across multiple platforms here. And yeah, we've got lots to talk about. As ever, it's going to be a lively one. There's plenty that we can choose from, and we'll cover whatever we cover. And you do your bit by bringing some comments there in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. And between us, we'll make the best start that we possibly can. You know, I wouldn't like to try and make a start on cleaning this on it. It's a lot of brass there, a lot of shiny surfaces, Charlotte. I need a hell of a lot of Mr. Sheen, I think, wouldn't you?
Hello, and yeah, I've always pictured Matt's doctor would say, "Oh, I'll help you," and then you get bored and leave you alone within 5 minutes because Matt's doctor couldn't do anything really for one time until he wanted to do the next thing.
I mean, where would you even start with that floor? Anyway, hello, Charlotte. How are you?
Hello.
How's your weekend?
Good. Finally, like we said last week, the spring is here, so I actually had some time out doing some walking with the dog and nice stuff like that.
Walking with the dog? That's very therapeutic, I would imagine. Very wholesome.
Yes, especially because she goes very slow nowadays, so you can sort of. It's my time to have a think sometimes to myself, which is quite nice.
I think to yourself, it's very dangerous sort of talk of thinking. What do you think, Luke? How do you rate thinking on a scale of 1 to 10? Dangerous stuff, or would you recommend?
I look like I'm coming through the smoke. Yeah, thinking is very, very, very. Yeah. Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be
Yes.
on Type 40.
How do you remember tonight, Matthew? I'm going to be. Surely,
love Stars in Your Eyes.
I watched it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, you'd both be way too young for this.
They must have redone it, like rerun it.
No, I remember it. Yeah, I think it's dangerous. Don't do it. Hello,
you won't remember when Leslie Crowther hosted it. That would definitely be before
that's a little bit before my time.
Yeah. How about this? This wouldn't be before your time. This would be about right for the both of you, wouldn't it? The squeaky floors of the first Matt Smith console room there, and the fact this picture's sort of slightly warped as well, which is kind of how I start most weeks, to tell you the truth.
Beautiful. I really liked it. I think it suited his doctor. It's very whimsical, very lots of stuff for him to run around and fidget with. And it's obviously it's kind of a continuation on with the colour theme from Tens, but it's totally different. I really liked it. I thought it was a shame when it went, but I can see why it went. But yeah, I thought it was really nice.
For me, I love that it was the start of having levels in the TARDIS, the modern ones, because that first Eccleston and Tennant one was all one level. It was a bit sort of that, just the central room, really. They didn't do much else. And with Matt, it felt like they were finally starting to go, no, there'd be an under level and there'd be a top level and rails where you could have characters talk on different at the top and the bottom to each other at times.
I like that as well. I'd always imagined that was the case in the classic era, that there were sort of little corridors and passages sort of above and below and things like that. And of course, everything was very sort of linear, wasn't it? And it was across the studio floor, and that was that. I mean, there were things here whenever I look at this console, all the previous ones, to tell you the truth, there are whole sort of areas and gadgets that I don't think I ever saw touched on screen.
Most of that console wasn't used, I feel like, because there were so many bits to it.
I thought, well, was I paying enough attention, Charlotte? Is the question I often ask myself. But it's the same with that in everyday life. Well, yes, so we've got some comments already in the live chat there from people waiting to hear what we've got to say about all of this. The Doctor Who universe, Doctor Who on its way back to the television, of course, in about 5 or 6 weeks' time. It's all going to kick off again. Under this new Lippy logo that we've had for the last couple of weeks. We're going to stick with Lippy logo for the time being. And obviously, we want your thoughts about all of that too. We'll come to the live chat in a moment. But first of all, in all sincerity, I thought we should mention this gentleman. So this is Simon Fisher-Becker. So memorable for his role in the Matt Smith era as Dorian Maldovar. And he passed away yesterday at the age of 63. I was very shocked and sorry to read this. And as one would expect for someone so larger than life and active on the convention circuit, there have been masses of tributes from fans, colleagues, and now the media too. His passing was announced by his husband, Tony. And the Doctor Who fans were very quick to share favourite pictures, anecdotes of having met the man, and how much they're going to miss him. His character, Dorian, wasn't exactly a mainstay of the Matt Smith era, Charlotte, but so memorable. Obviously, physically, Simon was a big guy, but when they're painting him blue and bejeweling him in the way that they did, so memorable, and what an incredible performance.
Yeah, Matt, sort of in Matt's run, you'd have these reoccurring characters that would sort of now and again pop up. It's something Moffat quite liked to do. Like, they weren't, like you said, they weren't long-term characters. No. They would just go, oh, he's back, like that sort of vibe. And yeah, I think there's an art to being a bit over the top with acting, and this character got it just right, that it was a bit camp, it was a bit over the top, but it was quite comical and quite sort of likable by the end of when you sort of had a few run-ins with this character. And I think it's sort of Moffat's sort of craziness on display as well, like just the most out there ideas Moffat would have for these
can't imagine this character in any other showrunner's era, Luke. I don't know why that is.
No, maybe Chibnall, maybe Chibnall's towards season 12, maybe, but yeah, like he was originally supposed to be in the one scene, the one episode, but I think he's come out and Moffat absolutely loved his performance and wrote him in more and more and more. And so that's a testament to the man himself. And you see Variety has just picked up on it as well, which is obviously a worldwide publication, which is massive. I didn't realise he was in Harry Potter until I read Variety, and I've seen that film so many times.
He was in Harry Potter?
Yeah, he's the ghost in Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone for our American viewers.
Is he the monk? The ghost that's the monk?
Maybe he comes out with the floor anyway.
He's listed in the credits as the Fat Friar. I don't think Simon minded being cast in parts.
Like dressed like a monk. Yes.
Like
you've done this before, Dan. Jesus.
Well, I'd got it into my head that Simon had been in Doctor Who loads and loads and loads. The truth of the matter is he was just in the 3 episodes. But the appearances and the things that he was saying and the way that he inhabited that role, he was so idiosyncratic. And of course, if you paint somebody bright blue, and if they look the way that Simon did, they're going to stand out, aren't they? Next to the likes of Matt Smith, and even next to a lizard person. Yes, so he was in the Pandorica Opens, and then A Good Man Goes to War, and finally The Wedding of River Song. Just a really vivid character that was, on the page, it was hardly underwritten. Was it? But it would have been so easy for Simon to have got this wrong and have made that character a real sort of cringe fest, but he didn't. He knew. I think he knew that there was there was a menace to the character. He had that kind of, this man has probably had a very, very storied and up and down life in the way that character like the face of Bo had. And so the fact that we never really find out a great deal about him it's all in the eyes. I think it's a wonderful performance, and one of many too. I mean, he was in several big things in key character roles over the decades, and I'm not surprised the variety are picking up on this. I mean, they're a little late to the party, I feel, Charlotte, simply because Simon was so active in the Doctor Who community on podcasts and YouTube as well. He was a regular on the No Name Trivia Show and on Legend of the Travelling TARDIS with our friend Christian. So this is a guy who was very visible as himself too. So it's quite, I think that's why Doctor Who fans found out first. It's quite natural that this made its way, because so many of us were connected to him.
Yeah, and not every actor does the sort of convention circuit that's part of Who, and they don't need to. Like, that's what I've always thought about the actors, because it's not an easy thing going from convention to convention. It takes a bit of hard graft. And like you said, he was in 3 episodes. He didn't have to be that involved with the community. So when these actors do sort of put themselves out there, I always think it's quite a testament to them that they're willing to do that, because it can be scary exposing yourself to fandom, especially like you said, if you're going on podcasts and you're sort of being yourself, not the character that the fans know you as. So it always takes quite a bit, I think, of the actors themselves to do those sort of things.
Here he is on stage at Gallifrey 1, Luke, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I think he has the last lines of season 6, and I think they put out a nice in memoriam saying that, and they closed off the ceremony with him reciting. This is like a research. This is not. But he ended the convention by doing the Doctor Who bit, and yeah, it was a nice way. He was a lovely guy. I only come across him a couple of times. He was always full of joy and love, and you could see the amount of pride he had in his work and in his role as well, and how much he enjoyed being a part of the show. And I know from his talk at Whoniverse, he was pitching to Mark Gatiss for a spin-off so hard. Bless him. He was pitching Dorian Moldovar spin-off that never come to fruition, but I think he did a couple of big finishes, maybe.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
in the same role.
But yeah, you can tell he had a love and affection for the role and the fans as well, and I think he enjoyed being at the conventions. And what Doctor Who gave to him, I think he gave back to the fans.
It would seem so. I mean, this scene in particular, where his head is in a box, you say, calling after the Doctor like that. It sent chills up my spine, that did. And even now, just thinking about it, his voice and the look on the Doctor's face too, it's fabulous. I mean, just full of charisma, full of energy, and it's such an exciting time to have been part of the show. I mean, yeah, he was a larger than life character, full of enthusiasm for whatever he was doing, always selling us on whatever he was doing or where he was going to be next. But in all fairness, and this is the difference, I think, he was just as interested in the things the fans were doing as well. The things that they were wearing, the things that they were publishing, that which they were talking about. You can't fake stuff like that. Some people are either genuinely interested or they're not, and that's fine. But Simon did seem to go out of his way to connect with people on that level, and I think that's why his passing has got the response that it has.
Yeah, and I think as fans, we sort of, like I said, sometimes we want to sort of see beyond the character on screen. And I think if you can give enough of an impression, then fans really love to sort of get to know you as yourself and not the role. And I think actors sometimes also quite enjoy that. And that seems to be a thing with these conventions. They really manage to build, like you said, friendships and sort of a connection beyond just reading scripts, which is lovely.
Characters had an extended life on audio even in comic books too, opposite the War Doctor there. So again, it's sort of the idea is that he had this history with the Doctor, and we didn't really see a great deal of it. But what there is, it's up to the expanded media can sort of fill in the blanks a little bit as well. And I think that Simon sort of knew and understood that very, very well. As a fan of, I don't know how big a Doctor Who fan he was. He certainly made out that he was, or certainly conveyed that. But he was certainly a big reader, and I got the impression he knew science fiction and Yeah. So I didn't know Simon at all. I met him very, very, very briefly at Hooverville last year. We just happened to be in the same room, and I got to talk to him for a split second. But there's people all around him, particularly kids, and that says a lot. It's the kind of appeal that he had, and plenty of people in the live chat as well joining us in our tribute there to Simon Fisher-Becker. David Mullen says, I was surprised and disappointed Moffat didn't bring Moldovar back. Such a terrific character and story device. Shelley Ingalls says, that's sad that the Blue Monk has passed away. The Blue Monk. The Fat Friar, the Blue Monk. It's those kind of characters, isn't it? Stephen Braddock says Simon's Dorium character was larger than life and he owned that role. You can't imagine anybody else playing it, can you?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Two as well. Terrified Monk in the live chat. Come from one monk to another. Terrified Monk in the live chat says, I don't know anything about him, but I never forgot his character in Doctor Who. You're not really going to forget a guy who looks like this. Oh yeah, who you're just not. There he is. Look, Simon knew how to get ahead in acting. Literally, says Stephen. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
You beat down to a joke, Stephen.
We'll allow you that one because I think Simon would have probably approved. Rob Alexander says that he recalls Simon as a magician in One Foot in the Grave, one of his first roles. He is one of those people, isn't he, Luke, where you watch an old movie or you go through a box set of something, you think, oh, God, it's that guy, there he is, and you turn up in virtually anything and everything. I mean, he was a big part of the Thomas the Tank Engine universe as Sir Topham Hatt, the Fat Controller.
I love Thomas the Tank. I got one of the old books written by Ringo. But yeah, he's one of those actors that you never really know, but not you never really know because people didn't know him. Sorry, bad turn of phrase, but it's one of the actors that when you pop up and you see him, you're like, oh, it's him. Oh, I forgot about him. Oh, what else has he been in? So you'll have a look, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Like he's a thespian, isn't he? He's a character actor. I remember he was saying at Hooverville that one of his goals was to be like Ian McNeice. And obviously, Ian McNeice was it was in Doctor Who. He played Churchill, and he said that was one of his goals was to be like him. And then after being in Doctor Who doing the convention circuit, he was very proud to call Ian McNeice his friend, and he was very happy with that. And I thought that was very fitting and very nice. And
yeah, can't say much fairer than that. Simon Ashley says he had the pleasure of meeting Simon at Hooverville last year. He took the time to have a conversation with me. A lovely man. There's lots of similar stories like that. And the Harry Potter community, I'm sure any part that anybody has in those movies, Charlotte, it's bound to make a mark when you're talking about a film series that's been seen by so many people.
Well, yeah, and because those films had so many storied British actors in that we've lost quite a few in the last couple of years. So that was me growing up, Harry Potter was one of my first big fandoms, if I were to use that term. So as soon as you said Potter, and then you gave me a close, oh God, it's him, and the same thing, not a lot of lines, but I can remember the scene with the Fat Friar in the Great Hall. Like those things just stick with you.
Oh, bless him. Yes, so keep the tributes coming to Simon Fisher-Becker throughout the show. By all means, we know he met a lot of fans all over the world. And like I say, although I can't pretend that I knew him, he was a very memorable part of a key time in Doctor Who history. And I think a lot of people, even the casual audience, will not forget the big blue guy there. What an incredible character and what an extraordinary man Simon Fisher-Becker was. Staying with the topic of all things blue. No, I'm not going to tell one of my jokes. I'm talking about the Blu-rays. The other day, so on the last edition of the show, we talked extensively about the Season 7 Blu-ray box set. And so we boasted about the fact that they'd arrived, that people had got them at last. And we sort of reveled in all the features and everything, Luke. Do you collect the box sets, mate? Do you? If so, which versions do you get? The big chunky ones or the slimmer shelf-saving ones?
I get. Sorry, I'm a bit croaky. Yeah, anyone listening, this is my fourth podcast of the day. I'm drinking cream of asparagus soup. Drinking cream of asparagus soup, which is actually really nice. But yeah, no, I do collect. I didn't get this one just because I missed the pre-order. And normally they still have them in my HMV, but they hide them because the Doctor Who DVDs get stolen. So they have to. It's mad.
Okay.
Yeah, all the collection box sets get stolen. It's quite bad in Manchester. So if you want a cheap version, I guess go to Manchester and just knock around on Piccadilly Gardens. Like you'll get something off it. One of it might be a Doctor Who DVD. I missed it. I went in I think I went in Saturday or Sunday, and they only had the season 2, the standard edition one there. They didn't have a season 7, which I was quite annoyed about because I know a very good friend of mine, Chris Walker Thompson, has a little cameo in the Nick Briggs documentary as well.
He does, yeah. I spoke to Chris about that the other day. Dropped him a message congratulating him. He's going to come back on the show at some point in the near future. Everybody, he did several with us last year.
Yeah, Chris is fantastic. But yeah, no, I love it. Like, I think it's worth it just for the escape room. To be honest, the escape room feature I absolutely love. Me and one of the boys. I won't say his name, but it sounds like Conjali, and he might play the War Doctor for Big Finish. We regularly have a night in and get drunk and watch the escape rooms. And they're always a good laugh. They're always a good laugh. So yeah, they're worth it just for the extras. I think they're fantastic as well, and it's nice to have a decent Doctor Who controversial, no, not controversial. It's nice to have
It's not that controversial, mate.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
I'm doing my best Matt Smith hair impression today. Jesus. Yeah, it's nice to have these remastered as well and brought back up for a new generation. I know I still got the VHSs still kicking around. I'm looking at the Invasion there, the Invasion, Terror of the Zygons, and Death to the Daleks. Yeah, no, it's good. I think they're fantastic, and long may they continue. We haven't got many left, I don't think.
There isn't that many left. No, we were talking about that the other day. Like four of the sort of colour seasons and several of the black and white ones. But over the last few days, this has made its way to social media. Now, of course, the Blu-ray collection, they made the decision, didn't they, a while ago now, a couple of years ago now, to stay with the original logo that they started on the range back in 2018 when a certain person was playing the Doctor and a certain other person was showrunning, and this logo was the official logo. They stayed with this kind of wiry logo, just so it didn't set off Doctor Who fans with their OCD and everything lines up, everything looks similar with the same fonts, all that kind of thing. And I can completely see why. It's a choice. It was a sensible choice, I think, at the time, balancing things out. And sure enough, look across your shelf, and they all look near enough the same to the. Or do they? Because people have been comparing online in the last few days. It seems that the latest set is a different shade of grey.
How dare they?
Now, there's a limit, isn't there, Luke? There's a limit that you can go to with this. And, okay, one picture you think, well, maybe it was a faulty batch, or maybe something in the printing process. But no, several people have been sharing these, and that is quite a difference. I mean, I've looked at mine, and I thought, well, maybe each Doctor is a slightly different shade of grey. But no, it isn't. So, so I was wondering, what do you think would have been worse? You know, if they're going to change the colour of the grey, they may as well have changed it to the diamond logo, is how I look at it. I mean, what do you think about fans sharing these pictures then, Charlotte? Is it just taking OCD that bit too far?
I'm sorry, could this not be the most Doctor Who fan thing ever? We're just talking about they've changed the colour of grey.
I was wondering, is it deliberate or is it a cock-up? That's the thing. I mean, when in doubt, I always say when it comes to Doctor Who, and particularly with the BBC, it's a cock-up.
Maybe they just didn't realise. They were just like, that's grey.
Speaking as somebody who's worked in pre-press and printing and desktop publishing, it is quite likely that somebody just changed a setting somewhere and they didn't notice. But yeah, fans are not happy. And yeah, I don't know if they're going to offer them replacement cartons, because they do have a replacement disc program, Luke. If ever there's something on the disc, you spot it, and they'll repress them. I don't know whether that stands for the boxes as well.
Yeah. I've got the collection, no, the Blu-ray remasters they did for the season 1 to 4. I got that, and I got the first season signed by Eccleston and Billy Piper.
Oh, nice.
But I know there's been some controversy about that. Like season 2 is the music's a little bit out of sync, or it's a bit too loud. Or to be honest, I haven't watched them. I bought them just to get them signed, and now they're sitting on the cupboard. But technically, that is correct, because John Pertwee was a different shade of grey compared to how he was in season 8. So technically, his hair would have changed. It would have gone a little bit darker. So you've timed this up very, very quickly. Jesus. So technically, they might be going by his hair colour. Who knows?
Gary Akers is in the live chat and says everybody could just buy grey markers and go DIY. So you can colour it in. Colour it in for yourself. Doctor once suggests that it's sun damage, not a different colour. Of course, that was the very first suggestion that everybody said over on social media. But no, it's not sun damage. This appears to be a whole batch, if not most of them, all of them. I don't know. But no, it's not sun damage. It does seem to have been something in the printing process. In the printing process itself. Yes, so what would John say? He liked things to be in order, didn't he, the third Doctor? So, yeah, what do you think? Could this be a deal breaker? Would anybody be tempted, any of you out there be tempted to apply to a replacement box program if the BBC Studios were tempted to offer it?
No.
Stephen was sorry, Stephen, if I set you your heart racing there. Stephen was fearful that I was about to announce that they were going to change the logo. Blame the printers, says Lee Smith. It probably is. Speaking of somebody who's worked extensively, that it probably is the printers. Greygate. that could stick. That could stick. And but Gary adds that they'll soon be coming out with the limited grey spine edition, which will be obviously for the higher price point there. Because you've got an exclusive. That's the way of looking at it. So David Garbage blames Russell T Davies. When in doubt, blame Russell T Davies, of course. Yeah, so let us know what you think. Could this be a deal breaker? Have they ruined your shelf? Are you going to have to squint now every time you roll? You survey your shelves, or do you think we'll just probably get over it as time goes on? Stephen says, he's just been off to have a look to check his. And his Blu-ray, I mean, my season 7 is the same colour as the others, so Luke's going to need a minute, so I can sleep soundly at night again. Results are going to vary on this. So let us know. Let us know what you think. Rob insists the grey on season 7 matches the bottom grey holder. You're quite right. And Bad Wolf is back in the live chat too, and we got some criminal geniuses and enterprising minds here in the live chat. An enterprising person could make a fortune on Etsy making custom clip cases. Yeah, I've suggested this actually, sort of docking stations for these, depending on which logo you may want. If they were to have changed the logo, for example, I was all for that, but you know. Doctor Who fans like making their own shit. They do. Yes. So speaking of which, we have been asking you some questions too on social media over the last few weeks, haven't we? And the results are in. So there'll be more from you later on. We polled people across Facebook, X, and YouTube, and we're going to be looking at that in a little while. So stay tuned for more of you. Yes, you. No, not you. You. So also. From high-end merch to street-level bargains. Anybody like a charity shop? I love a charity shop.
Some good stuff, to be fair, if you know how to root.
I'm a big one for the charity shops. And Macaulay, who's we shared one of Macaulay's pictures on the show last week. Macaulay has spied a bargain here in his local Oxfam. This was so, but quite a quick drop-off for the Shooty Gatwa T-shirt. From last year there with the big sort of swirly Suteki vortex in the background. So you think somebody would have grown out of this, or or do you think it was a prezi? What would your money be on there, Luke? It was an unwanted gift.
It's probably shooties. Probably shooties. He's done with it. He's done. We saw what's his name? Handsome fella, Ryan Gosling. Ken. We're in a knockoff. We're in a knockoff Doctor Who shirt on Barbie. Who knows? Maybe it's Ryan Gosling's and he just slung it. Yeah, maybe
we did. And maybe it's cast and crew edition. That it could be an exclusive.
Left, apparently.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Becoming rarer by the day.
Yeah.
So is that official? Like BBC?
In all honesty, I'm not certain because that's not the official font. But somebody, it would have been official to somebody. They would have officially loved it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought it. Is how I look at it.
Yeah, like it to me that looks like a present, like somebody would get a family member who's into Doctor Who.
I think you could be right.
Not into Doctor Who.
Yeah, true, as punishment.
Just as Martin says in the live chat, someone got that for Christmas. And Rob says, "Is this April Fool's 3 weeks early? Is it signed? That could make all the difference, of course, couldn't it? Is it signed? The all-important question," asks Lee Smith. I think not, because they probably would have listed it on eBay at a higher price. Yes, so a present for your worst enemy. But yeah, it is. It is strange to see something of a current Doctor in a charity shop just a year after that Doctor makes a debut on television. Peter Harrington says it's escaped from someone's collection. You could be right. If you want to add that to your collection, I don't know where this is, so you have to look up Macaulay there over on X. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Come and tell him that Type 40 Live sent you. Yeah, so that was what it was all about last year, that big swirly pattern. We've got new patterns this year that are going to be everywhere, maybe, most places. Well, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. Is this growing on you yet, Luke? What do you make? What do you make of it?
Yeah, I like it. It is very reminiscent of the Matt Smith one. We've said it multiple times. That's when Doctor Who was his biggest out in the States. Yeah, look, it looks nice. It's composed nice. I prefer this. I think the general consensus is this is better than Verada.
Better than nothing.
Yes, yeah, it's better than the previous one. But the trailer looks good. The other trailer looks even better.
We will come to that in a little while. Yeah. Exciting times. Yeah, so I quite like that. I don't find it offensive. Let's put it that way, which is a step up, but the jury is still out on the Lippy logo. The jury is also still out, of course, on the future of Doctor Who, but things are getting more intriguing by the day. Earlier on today, just a couple of hours ago, in fact, a gentleman called Jonathan Aiken shared this on X as well. Hello, friends, Jonathan announced. And in his profile picture there, he's got a picture of himself on the set of the TARDIS. And Jonathan said, after 3 years of mainly filming lots of fun things for Doctor Who, I'm now back on the freelance market for all your TV and online content filming needs. And says, here's my new improved show reel. If you're interested in watching, please hire me. I've got all the gear and loads of ideas and all that. So he's available for work again. Now, this would seem to be more confirmation that they're not going to be filming anything on Doctor Who anytime soon. Because sure enough, you look into Jonathan and Jonathan's track record. He was the director and producer and cameraman on the bulk of the first 2 seasons of Doctor Who Unleashed and present on a majority of location shoots. It would seem to me to suggest that the information that we've received is true. You've heard this as well, Luke, that they're not going to be filming anything in the near future, certainly for the remainder of the year. Jonathan's clearly a busy guy with a lot of transferable skills and a career path. He's not wasting any time, and why would he? Why would any of them? I think we're going to start to see more of this sort of thing, but this post has since been deleted.
Yeah, I think. Well, look, I know the Sun did the report the other day saying that the crew was out to work. The crew has not worked on Doctor Who, bar the reshoots for the finale the other week for some unknown reason. The crew have not worked on Doctor Who in about a year, I'd say. I know look, there's a Doctor Who crew member that's actually who worked on season 2, who's currently in the other room listening to me. So being very careful what I say. But yeah, look, they haven't worked on the show in ages. He worked on, I think, War on the Land and Sea. Clearly, maybe they were unleashed for that. Maybe it's wrapping up now, so that's done. I don't think Doctor Who is scheduled. They've said it's not going to know if it's going to get renewed until after season 2 comes out, which by the time it finishes in May, realistically, you're looking at maybe a June, July renewal and then pre-production. So I reckon earliest they could probably start rolling the cameras was around maybe November, December. So
and for those that are holding out for that Christmas special, it's getting more and more crucial by the week now. They've got very few weeks available left with that window open where it's feasible to get something filmed, and through the post-production process between now and Christmas. Stephen Braddock says that Ncuti Gatwa has removed his listing as the role of the Doctor from his Instagram page. I haven't seen that, no. So obviously we'd take that in good faith that Stephen suggested that may have happened. Obviously that does also fill in some more of that picture that we are all collectively painting, I suppose. Bill Barkley in the live chat asks, when does this season of Who start? We're going to come to that in a moment. Bill, you've come to the right place, mate. You stay precisely where you are, but we're just looking a little into the future for the time being. What's going on?
Well, it's like you said, there's been all these little things, bits of news floating now, which all are slowly coming together. You've got this post of it sounds like quite an involved crew member basically saying, I'm freelance now. You had the post that Bad Wolf did themselves, I think it was how many weeks ago now, that some of the studio they're renting out. So that, and also the fact that they talked about Doctor Who in the past tense in that post as well. Like, we've had fun filming Doctor Who, I think was roughly how they phrased it. So it's just like you said, there's so many little things now which I think are clearly saying at least nothing soon is getting filmed. Nothing like this year soon. If anything gets filmed, it's like you said, going to be quite late. And then if it is anything, then that means we're going to have to wait quite a while to see anything that's going to be filmed, because it takes a while to film these things and to edit them and to get them actually on screen.
We could reach out to Russell T Davies and ask him, but I think he may. I think we may draw a blank. What's going on? What are they hiding? Everybody, what are they? What on earth are they hiding? Let us know in the live chat what you think of it all. Are you still hanging on in there for the idea that we could get a Christmas special this year? I think it's becoming increasingly obvious that all the information we received is true. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Shelley. Shelley says, I am thinking the BBC is cleaning up Russell T Davies and Chibnall's woke mess. And to give it a reset, well, we're going to come to that in a little while as well. That's what Shelley thinks. We're going to find out what everybody else thinks too, because that's what we conducted our survey in here at Type 40 Live. We're going to hit you back with those results here on our early edition for this week across Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook. This is Type 40 Live. Thank you, everybody, for the comments. So far, doing things a little differently, but still having just as much fun as ever. And if you can't get enough, and why would you? You can get more across the podcatcher of your choice. If you get fed up of looking at us, you can just hear us there across all major podcatchers, Audible, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all those places with the Type 40 podcast. New edition on the way very, very soon, so don't miss that. Add us, follow us, all that jazz. Or you can get over to our home feed at type40.podbean.com and make sure that you're connected there too, that you're following us over on Podbay. Even I can use Podbay. It's that. So it must be good. Yes. So where are we? What next? Yes. Let's. I don't think we should hang about too much. This stuff is. It's hot. It's hot. Hot data, I suppose you could say. Hot data, and we're going to get stuck into it next here at Type 40 Live. Next. And who, what, and where? I think we should have a blast of him.
You're watching Type 40. Stupid tune anyway.
Quite right. Quite right, Sarah. All that nonsense. Stop it. Stop it. That's what she's saying. Yes, welcome back. Yes, so what's up next? What's up next? Yes, so here on Type 40 Live, we do like to have as much interactivity as possible, particularly when the series isn't on, Charlotte, because obviously it does go through phases, doesn't it? When the show's not on TV, we find other things to talk about, to obsess over. You know, we always go through at least 2 rounds of silly season every single year before the clouds start to gather again and the storm starts to break. And before you know it, we're back with more Doctor Who on our TV. So it's a very precise window, gap in the clouds, isn't it? You've got to wait for precisely before you gauge certain things about where the fan base is at, I suppose, because things get really heady when Doctor Who is actually on, I feel.
Yeah, and I feel like the last couple of series, especially both Whittaker and the current era, things get very argumentative and heated.
Really?
And yeah, just a bit. So sometimes I think it's nice to enjoy the calm, as you sort of put it, before the storm. I quite sometimes like this sort of spot in fandom where we are just before a series is going to go out.
Yeah, it's is it like that for you as well, Luke? Do you find that too, or do you do what normal people do and just go and watch something else?
No, not really. I've been pretty much stuck in Doctor Who life now for the past 2 years now. It was always there in the background, and I didn't wean myself off it per se, but kind of left it a little bit. And then we did the first Hooligans sketch with Rob and Brandon and he who shall not be named. And it's kind of come back into my life tenfold now, and it's more than ever, and it kind of rekindled the love for it. And it's always been there. There's always been there, but it's just kind of quieting down. And then as soon as I met Brandon and Rob and John Carley and everyone, and we're doing War of the Worlds and Hooligans and doing this, that, and it's just come back up. And don't get me wrong, I still watch a lot of stuff. Like Daredevil now is great. Daredevil's fantastic. I'm avid with my rugby. That's obviously how I knew the Doctor Who was coming out, because I watched the rugby.
You've got a life, in other words. You've got a life.
Yeah, I mean,
You've got other interests.
Yeah, but Doctor Who is at the forefront of my life right now. But
I think that you're a sporting guy, aren't you? You watch a lot of sport. You have a connection with sport in a professional sense too. And I often liken Doctor Who, following Doctor Who, is often, and the life of a Doctor Who fan lines up very much with the life of a football fan watching a club struggling to avoid relegation, and or watching their fortunes up and down the league table. Sometimes episode by episode. And as such, I think that we also, as fans too, we, in the same way that the football fans will get together and say, well, if I was the manager, I'd do this, sack the manager, do this, do that. He should be using that formation or this formation. I think that with Doctor Who fans, we feel the same way about the showrunner's job, about the showrunner's role in particular.
You can compare Doctor. I never thought I'd compare Doctor Who to current Manchester United, but the current manager didn't work, so they got rid of him. They brought in someone else who they thought would do great, and it started off okay. And every now and again he'll come out with a hitter, but it primarily it's been a bit rubbish. I can't believe. I can't believe I'm comparing Russell T Davies to Ruben Amorim, but very much it's like Doctor Who and Man United go hand in hand right now, and it's quite funny because obviously I got a massive connection to sport. I do the Man United podcast, Man City podcast, all at rugby league. I'm going to Newcastle tomorrow filming for the cup final. I'm all over the place, and now it's like, oh yeah, I never thought of it like that. But yeah, absolutely, that's massive. I never thought of that.
All over the place. That on your business card, can't it? So a few weeks ago, a story broke. Well, I say a story, an article. I say an article. The Sun went with a piece about Doctor Who potentially being axed, didn't they? And it was all that we could talk about all week. Anybody in the community it's not the kind of thing we usually jump on here at Type 40. It's not something, it's sort of tomorrow's chip paper kind of thing. A great deal of the time, there's no truth in it at all. And in most instances, these things are forgotten within a few days. But this piece in the Sun, it wasn't. And the Radio Times and the Mirror and all sorts of other places got involved. The BBC did issue a statement on that pretty quickly with a line on things as they are willing to admit it at the moment, and we'll come back to that again in a moment. But from Doctor Who fans' point of view, when you see articles, stories, ideas breaking that the series may be ending, well, somebody must stop this by making the right decision here and now, by making a hard call. And of course, none of us are empowered to do any of those things. Only a select number of people are. I mean, publicly Russell T Davies, but there's probably several other people, a cluster of people who can do that. And so I think the best thing to do, really, as Doctor Who fans, the only therapy we really have is to ask one another, really, what would you want right now to happen with Doctor Who when it's creatively floundering, when it's simply not had the impact that it was meant to? I think Russell has all but admitted that himself.
Yeah.
Simply by pointing at the ratings, I think is part of painting a certain picture too. So what we did is that we polled you guys out there across social media. We decided we'd run a good old-fashioned poll. And so we looked at our accounts on X, Facebook, and on YouTube. We've got a Facebook group and a Facebook page. So we pooled all of that together to get to the answer, I suppose, the answer to the question, to see if it all matched up and if fandom could form a general sort of consensus. If you were the showrunner, if this was your decision, what would your call be? So we gave people across those platforms just the three options. If you were in charge of Doctor Who, what would you do? Would you, let me get this right, would you simply continue on? That all is absolutely fine. It's all a fuss about nothing, all pretty much made up by the Sun, and there's nothing wrong with the show at all, and we should all just listen to Russell T Davies and go with it. But there is the other school of thought that says, well, no, it should simply come off. If it's not working, it should end. It should come off. Are you of that mind? Or are you somewhere in the middle where you think, well, if you just take a break and regroup, perhaps that would be the most prudent option. So, yeah, we asked you guys what you thought and what your call would be. So let's take a look at these results now. Sorry, Shooty, you might... Actually, I don't think Shooty cares to see. These are the results as they were across on Facebook. So we, again, just to recap, we asked our followers there, and we got this shared to other Facebook groups too. So it all went public, so we could get as fair a result as we could. What do you want to happen with Doctor Who on TV, specifically on TV? Continue on, just end, just stop it now, end the pain, or to take a break. And as you can see, I think we can safely say approximately well over half, coming up to 2/3, went with the option there to take a break, Luke. And that's probably, over twice the amount of people that voted for the next option, which was just to end it, just to stop the pain now. I mean, that's quite a commanding victory, I think, for the take a break crowd.
Yeah, I think I do think. Well, it's been having rests for how long have we been having a rest for now? There was
10 years.
Yeah, there was a break between Chibnall and not much of it between Chibnall and Moffat, and then more or less like nearly 2 years between Chibnall and Russell. I think maybe it was a miss. I think they wanted to capture the golden era, didn't they, again? But
of course,
after the floundering, but it didn't really work. But I think it does need a break. I don't think the BBC can afford to give it a break, personally, because it still is, no matter how much we say it's bad, we're not enjoying it, it still is the biggest money spinner for the BBC in terms of exploitation and rights and merchandising. There's this distinct lack of merchandise. They can't afford for it to not be rested. So it's kind of in the weird situation where what do you do with this thing where you can't end it, but it can't carry on as it is. And if you give it a break, then by the time people come back, they might have just been like, oh, it's that rubbish show. So it's kind of in a weird grey area where something needs to happen, but what it is. And the comments are just going to say, Russell needs to leave. So it's going to be an easy one. Glazers out. From the protests from Manchester United yesterday, that's what I meant. But yeah, it's like, it's stuff needs to change. I don't know what it is. I know Russell leaving's the obvious one. I don't think there's a natural successor for Russell coming in. I know Peter McTeague has been touted. Toby Whithouse.
I was excited by the idea of Pete McTeague doing this for quite a long time, based largely on the strength of another show that he produced about 10 years ago now, I suppose. But I even think that he's anybody who's sort of been involved really on that kind of level to go anywhere else, to get some totally fresh perspective and ideas. No connection at all could be the best way to go. But however, whatever. I think taking a break is clearly popular with people in the Facebook crowd there. Charlotte, does this surprise you?
Well, no, I'll happily admit I voted, and that was my vote. Take a break when you did it on the YouTube community tab, because none of us want this show to disappear for 10 years again. I think that's one that nobody in the fan base wants. But like Luke said, we can't keep just doing the same thing and having a bad result. It's that whole what's the definition of insanity argument, doing the same thing and expecting different results. But the good thing is about taking a break, that can mean as many years as you need it to be off air technically. Like taking a break could mean you don't need loads and loads of years off, or if you actually, and I think what the BBC needs to do is take a hard sort of look at the last two eras especially, and some of the stuff even earlier than that, but I think the last two are the more sort of damaging ones. Take a hard look and say, where have we gone wrong with this as an IP? Who have we put in positions that we shouldn't have? What sort of ideas have we allowed to come into stories? How have we morphed the Doctor's character? I feel like the Doctor's sort of suffered as a character a lot.
When did it start to go tits up, basically? The thing, you're quite right, Charlotte. It's one thing to take a break, but if you're going to spend all that time scratching your arse, go on a nice holiday, and then come back and it's business as usual, which, let's be honest, is largely what JNT did. when the show went off for 18 months, but there were different times. That's simply not going to wash, is it? Not this time. And This is the result. This is the one that you voted in on YouTube, and the results are very similar, Charlotte, aren't they? It's 55% rather than 61%, so it's not such a commanding lead, but it's still a noticeable one.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like Luke talked about Daredevil. Like, look at how with that TV show. They filmed pretty much the whole thing, from my understanding.
Yes,
and then
yes. You're absolutely right. Yes,
and then somebody above, like we said, there's people above Russell, and I think we sometimes forget that because of how Russell's sort of this all powerful personality when he's on stage. He is very powerful,
but every boss has got a boss.
Yeah, but so I think we forget that he's got people above him, like those people at Disney, that somebody clearly above was like, looked at that show and was like, this is going to go really badly down with the fans. They're going to hate it. And they took the hard call, which isn't easy as in TV land to go, do you know what? We spent all that money, spent all that time, we've employed all these people. We're just going to completely wipe the slate and start again. And I feel for all those little breaks we've had, they've not really done that. They've just, Russell's free, let's grab Russell. Oh, Chibnall's free, let's grab Chibnall. Oh, Moffat's mates with Russell and we know Moffat, let's have... They've never sort of taken an actual proper, serious think about who gets this show, I feel like, in the modern run. It's just been, we know him, or he's a friend of him. And it's all been connected sort of, they know them.
I think that the decisions have been made out of, I wouldn't say desperation, but in terms of power and cachet at a specific time. When
Yes.
they went to Chibnall, he was riding that wave of 2 seasons of Broadchurch, and I wouldn't say at the time he could do no wrong, but he had a hit with something that was very fashionable that pretty much everybody had watched. And for once in his career, it was very fortunate for him that so that's why they went for him. It was simply that kind of myopic. They couldn't see anything. That was the only thing that was literally right in front of them. They didn't go looking. And when Russell came back, they didn't really have to look for him either. The stuff was going on with the lockdowns, and we've been through the story time and time again. So they didn't have to think outside the box. They didn't have to go and have meetings with people.
I feel like they've been very tunnel vision throughout the whole of the showrunner picking in the last 20 years of the modern run. And I just feel like because of that, even when we've had these, like I said, these little breaks or little handovers, it's not been a real change ever. It's just been a slightly different face, but it's been the same sort of people around them or similar writers around them, so I feel like a break now.
It's like when you watch a soap, like what's it, Neighbours or Home and Away, where they've got one busybody old bat who lives a few doors down from the main family, and when one actress who gets tired of playing the busybody old bat gets bored and wants to go off and do panto or do something else, they get in another nosy middle-aged old bat to play largely the same character, Mrs. This, Mrs. That, Auntie whatever. It's always the same, and I do think that's what we've ended up with. A procession of people who are largely that's unfair on Stephen Moffat, but largely of the same process, I think. Bad Wolf, I have no idea what Martin's talking about here, but I'm going to read it out anyway, because I think a lot of people may know what he means when he says Russell T Davies coming back is like when Marino returns to Chelsea.
Right.
Yeah, you never go back after past glories. You never go back. It's the same like Warren Gatland, who is Wales's greatest ever rugby coach. They went to pot over the past couple of years. I'm Welsh, I can say it. It's fine. We were horrific, and for them to be like, oh, we need a quick fix. They got Warren Gatland back. They got their greatest ever coach back, and he come back, and we haven't won a game in 2 years. We've been awful, so they've had to sack him. So it's that kind of approach. It's like you don't go back. Just let your past glories lie. But I agree with Charlotte. But I think the current thing is, I don't think there's a distinct lack of showrunners in the TV industry in South Wales. I'm pretty much all of them that are working have either written for Doctor Who or don't seem to want it. You've got Toby Whithouse, who's done Being Human. Maybe maybe a Charlie Brooker, Doctor Who would be fantastic. But you've got like a Mark Gatiss, who he's done it. Howard Olbermann, he's done Misfits, he's done Lazarus Project, he's done War of the Worlds. There's another one potentially he could, but there's a distinct lack of showrunners, because I know on another podcast, not plugging another Doctor Who podcast, but Chibnall did an interview with it where he said he's now starting a scheme, or he's starting like a traineeship with partnering with ITV Wales on the back of Broadchurch.
Like about the blind leading the blind. Fucking hell.
He's teaching the next generation of writers
how
to also be. Well, it's not teaching them how to write; it's teaching them how to showrun. So teaching them because
that's not better.
Says the man who crashed Doctor Who.
But as much as we do say though, like he did have shows out. He did manage to get his 3 seasons. He managed to get it done through COVID. He did get all the classic Doctors back. 8 Doctors? So he ran Broadchurch successfully. Not all the seasons were great. Season 1 was fantastic. So he does have a pedigree where I'm not a fan of his writing at all, really. And
I know what you're saying. All joking apart, I understand what you're saying.
But there's a distinct lack of showrunners, and there's someone who does have a pedigree who's teaching. I think, there's maybe they go down the executive producer route and the head writer route, and then you get someone like a James Mattson who wrote Mummy on the Orient Express and Flatline and Oxygen, who's really good, like hardcore sci-fi writer. And then
he seemed to have so much potential.
Oh, absolutely. Why isn't he being asked back?
Bad Wolf says, I think taking a break is the best option. Maybe come back in 10 years. Then mine the expanded universe for stories to adapt like they
and also-
didn't last time. Let's just
And
look at the last statistic here, Charlotte,
Yeah,
because we've
let's
got
see
one
how
more
this one
graph
went.
here. So this is over on Twitter. It's a slightly different result in a pretty major way. So it's a swing, not a drastic swing, but a surge and or swing for the end, for sake, option there. So that's, so most people who responded to this over on X, and it did get shared over the week, most of them voted for the end the series option there, 40%, just beating the take a break option. That was again the next one, and continue on was considerably smaller. So I think this is it's a win. Most people voting on X wanted it to come off. That's sad. It's very, very sad. Just end, not take a break. Literally end.
I can understand how some fans have got to that point now, though, because you sort of have this mentality, and I've spoken to fans who have this mentality of we want it to end to stop any other harm coming towards it. And it's not that this, I can guarantee you a lot of people who have voted for that have not done it because they hate the show, like certain people like to point out if we say we want the show to stop, or just in general that idea of, well, if you're saying you want it to end, it must be because you hate it. No, it's because you can only watch something you love be taken advantage of and being used for the wrong reasons so long until you just want it to be left alone. And I think that's honestly the state that some fans feel, and I can't blame them in the slightest.
Obviously, this is only one of the 3 platforms, Luke, that came back with the end the series result there. So it's not the end of the world, is it? But it's still, it's not ideal, is it?
No, and look, as much as I do think it needs a break, I think it needs a reset. I think we're kind of going to get it. Personally, I think we'll have a little bit of a break now. You won't have any Doctor Who till Christmas 2026, and it'll be with a new Doctor, and then you'll have a series following on in 2027. But the BBC can't afford to let it go. It's its biggest money spinner. And someone said Matthew Graham in the chat. Someone said Matthew Graham, head writer of Life on Mars, as showrunner. That would be fantastic. Love Life on Mars.
What's Matthew doing now? Because I haven't kept track of his career in recent past. I know Toby Whithouse has turned up on the channel
Bergerac.
U doing the Bergerac thing, which looks pretty good. I loved the original Bergerac when I was a kid. It's one of those shows. Used to watch it with your nan on a Wednesday night. So I'd love to see this. It's good to see Toby working on stuff that people are still enthusiastic about. Think it's impossible that he could come back to Doctor Who, or is it simply the fact that he is too much? Again, is he simply another flavour of the same beast? Really, another remix of the same tune.
I think his episodes were always so different. It's like the God Complex as well, which in season 6 was quite a torrid time. Really, it was quite more misses than hits, but the God Complex stood out as well. And I think the thing is he has a pedigree. Like he's done Bergerac now, which he seemed to be receiving well.
People seem to like it. Yeah.
Being Human as well. So we run that for
which was brilliant at times.
Yeah,
I love that show.
I'm in Being Human as well, so have a look out. I'm in season.
Really?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm in season
even
3.
Oh, really? I've got those. Odd.
Yeah, I'm in season 3 and the last season as well. So Damien Maloney, I thought Damien Maloney would have been a fantastic Doctor. Now he's turned up in Bergerac with Toby Whithouse. So it's like, get him over to Doctor Who. Get him over. But yeah, I couldn't be Newman. But he's a proven
the
showrunner.
thing with that they, from my perspective and from my memories, that survived pretty much a complete change of the cast, and yet it still didn't overextend its welcome. By the time it did finally end, people weren't sick of it, which is a real trick to pull off in the 21st century when it comes to TV. Lots of people are in support of a break here in the live chat, which is probably no surprise to either of you. It certainly isn't to me, particularly after those results. Josh H says a break of 5 years. It needs a clean break. If it comes back, there can't be any Russell T Davies. No going back to Stephen Moffat for stories, and no going back to David Tennant for specials. No, I'm convinced David Tennant will absolutely, positively, no doubt about it, play Doctor Who again. Which one of his Doctor Who's?
Yeah, he'll come back
I'm
for something.
sure we will see Tennant again, but not for a long time, I sincerely hope. And when he is definitely in the ex-Doctor, not eternal Doctor sort of category, I think it's bad for the show that it continues to be attached to the one actor that it can always go back there. And I think that's aside from whatever you think about Tennant himself or his behaviour of late. I think that's just sensible creatively.
The problem is that, like I said recently about Capaldi and Matt, because they haven't come back, I feel like every year there's more and more of a hunger for those actors to do something in the Who universe, because we haven't seen them. And like, it's just that thing of, when you think back to their era where it was Tennant, because you see him quite regularly, he sort of loses that specialness that I feel other actors now have, previous Doctors have, sort of, because of that distance that they've created. Like, right, respectfully so, they still love the brand, those two, and talk about it whenever they can, but it's just they haven't been in the show.
Do you think we had a comment up on the screen a moment ago, Luke, about Doctor Who in Wales? I mean, do you think that because obviously the facilities in that area, they've put a lot of investment into TV and film in that part of Britain, in Wales and Bristol, that's the general region. Do you think that still filming Doctor Who and having its base there harms it, or is that neither here nor there in the 21st century? Because you can make anywhere look like anywhere else. I mean, I don't really think it matters, really, myself.
No, I don't think so. I know Chris Chibnall tried to move Doctor Who out of Wales when he took over. He tried bringing it up to Manchester, and the BBC put a kibosh to that straight away. Was good as a Welshman. Good. Now I'm living in Manchester. Not as good. Shot myself in the foot there. But no, I don't think Doctor Who will ever leave Wales now. I think it's become inherently, people are hating me now, but it's become inherently Welsh. We took it over with the Green Death. The little maggots were us with the Welsh people.
I'll dig you out of this by saying that there's lots of support here from Matthew Graham. The idea of Matthew Graham showrunning the series, but the results are still pretty commanding there across our platforms. Take a break, said everybody who voted. Well, not everybody, said the majority who voted on Facebook. It was the same on YouTube when we ran this poll across all platforms. But over on X, it was a decent lead for the people who just wanted the show to come off. But obviously, let us know what you think. If you may not have had your say, or maybe you felt one way then, and you feel differently now. That's allowed too. So let us know in the comment section where you are with it and with them as we gear up. How many weeks now until the 12th of April and the new season, the next season of Doctor Who Season 2, starring Ncuti Gatwa and Varada Sethu. They're leading the show. So it's not long to wait until everything gets silly again, and that window where we can sort of speculate on this stuff will absolutely have closed. And if Russell is as good as his word, I mean, having said that, they only say that's when they will hear, don't they? Maybe it'll take a while before they tell us, because in response to that Sun article, let's just backtrack on this for people who may have missed it. So in response to that Sun article a few weeks ago, the BBC were right on it the very next day, and they gave this statement to the Mirror. The Sun story. The story is incorrect. Doctor Who has not been shelved. As we have previously stated, the decision on Season 3 will be made after Season 2 airs. The deal with Disney Plus was for 26 episodes, and exactly half of those have still to transmit. As for the rest, we never comment on the Doctor and future storylines. So for a little while yet, we'll be left to fill in the blanks there. The posters are turning up everywhere here and in America. I would imagine they're going to start turning up BBC and Disney Plus one. So let us know when you spot one or two or indeed more. We're keeping our eyes peeled as well. Yes, so thank you everybody who responded to our various polls in those various places and those who are commenting on here and now. Matthew V says 2 actors miscast in the leading role last time killed the show for 16 years. Ouch, Matthew. Wow, that's a spicy one. I don't agree. I don't agree, but I know a great many feel that the 80s was a write-off as a decade, and I've never signed up to that. I loved the 80s. It was my era. You're not alone in feeling that way. It's just that's not how I feel, mate. No, I'm an 80s guy. Yeah. I'm an 80s guy. Doug Naylor of Red Dwarf might be an outside shout. Yeah, but Doug's pushing 70. It's even that,
I feel like we need somebody a bit younger in the showrunner. That's another thing that I've sort of been thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had men of a certain age basically run this show as well for the modern run.
Yeah, and all of them have turned out evil. It's unfair, but you know what I'm saying. Doctor Who can't survive 3 crap doctors in a row, says Lee Smith. And Bill Barkley has watched the new Bergerac. Is it any good, Bill? Because I've been hearing it's good, and
some people in the chat was saying it was good when you brought up, but
I'd really like it. I'd really like it to be good. We can't have another bad Doctor cast. 3 strikes and you're out.
To be fair,
someone in. No, go on.
I was going to say I think that's another thing I've seen a lot of people in like the fan sphere say now. Whoever they cast, obviously we will see because officially Shooty's not gone yet, but as we all are now doing the who's going to be the next Doctor sort of videos, a lot of those are popping up. They cannot get this casting wrong again. I agree. I think there's lots of crucial things right now, and the Doctor has to be like a Matt again moment or early Tennant again. It has to be that sort of actor just right in the role in that moment, which is hard.
Do you trust Russell T Davies to cast that role again, Charlotte?
No. I'm going to be blunt. No.
Me neither. And you know how much of a fan I've been of this guy since as long as we've been doing this show. I think he's yesterday's man, and it's time. You got to know when's the right time to pack it in when you're done. And I do hope he steps aside, even if it's. Yeah, I do hope so. What else is here?
Someone said Max Boyce is the Doctor, going oogie oogie oogie, and I would love that.
Max Boyce is Max still around? Bless him.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but I for years I wanted Ewan Rion, who Simon from Misfits, or he's Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones. I thought he'd be perfect as a Doctor because he has that dark look about him. He can do serious, he can do funny, he can do a bit of everything. So, but yeah, no, I think it's going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a tricky one. I think you may have to, tricky, very very tricky.
Bad Wolf suggests that we give ChatGPT a shot at showrunning.
Maybe they could write some episodes for us.
Right, controversially, a site yesterday. I can't remember the site. It was like a bleeding cool or somewhere. Did have ChatGPT write an episode of Doctor Who?
Really?
Yeah. So you can Google it now. You can find it, and they did have just to see what it was like. And I think this site, it might not be bleeding cool, so apologize to me if we do, but that's the one that just popped to mind. But I will find it and send it to you later. But they did have the one criticism of it was too plot focused, like the classic series, and not character focused, like the new series. But so if you want to go down the classic route, then ChatGPT is the way to go. So someone already has, so you can go and read it, go search it, Doctor Who ChatGPT, and you can find it. So yeah, someone's done it.
Where will it all end? Where will it all end? Thank you, everybody who voted in our poll. It's good fun. I like a poll every now and again. We don't make a habit of it all the time. And certainly, we do try not to keep asking the same questions here at Type 40 and Type 40 Live. But yeah, there are times and places, time zones where it just feels right. You think it's kind of now or never, because obviously the truth is coming. We are going to hear something from Russell T Davies or from Disney Plus and the BBC and Bad Wolf, or collectively we'll hear something certainly before the end of this year. How long they want to sit on it, heaven only knows. But we'll get what we get. We'll get what we get when we get it, I suppose. Yeah. So what are we getting next? What are we getting next? Let us know in the comments section what you think of all of that and where you think it may lie, as well as your instincts about polls too, and which of those three choices would you have gone for if you didn't get a chance to vote that time? Where would you place your vote right now? Okay, I think that yes. So in the here and now, it's time. It's oh, sorry, mate. Oh God, I'm getting carried away. Sorry. Yes. So this is that regular junction in the show that we've arrived at, where golden faces and golden voices from Doctor Who's esteemed past all gather together to flog us bits of old crap from back in the TV past. Yes, it's the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. This one is an absolute banger, but then again, they're all bangers. So you enjoy the ads for the next couple of minutes, and we'll see you right back here next.
Introducing new recipe Pedigree Chum Complete. Supreme nourishment in a dry dog food to keep your dog in the peak of condition. And now it's even meatier and comes in original beef and tripe and lamb and vegetables. Supreme nourishment with a great meaty taste. Pedigree Chum Complete.
Relive the Doctor's adventures in time and space with the ultimate action figure and MP3 CD collection. Collect and build your own Pandorica CD cube case. Each 5-inch action figure includes an audio CD and a piece of the Pandorica, with 3 classic Doctor Who stories to hear. The Doctor Who Pandorica collection.
From character.
Hello! They've made me Hornby size again, to show you how Hornby accessories can really make your layout come to life. What was that? Anyway, Hornby make more accessories than anyone, and lots of them you can work by hand. Let's pull in here. Here we are then. Now, let's have a look at this signal box. You see? Ah, it's him again! You just wait till I'm full size.
You only get them a train set once, so make it Hornby.
Is he still there?
Yeah, look on, sir. We's infamous. We's on the cover of the TV Times. It's the Titumen special issue, with lots of news and articles all about their programs, you see, including us on, so. They're not only that, but they're giving us away, 500 of me and 500 of you, in a free competition.
Talking to yourself again, Wurzel?
Yes, meet them both in this week's TV Times, with full details of the week ahead on ITV.
Well, I'll be bums whistled.
Yes, welcome back to your Type 40 Live early edition to start off your week in the Whoniverse, the past, the present, and the future of all things Doctor Who. We've got all bases covered, if not necessarily in that order. And oh, yeah, I know. John Pertwee there, flogging the TV Times for the other side, Charlotte, rather than the radio Times.
Naughty, naughty boy.
And we're back here with the panel. Yes, for more. We've got some comments to get into as well. So where are we? Yes, here we are. Yes, so I've got Charlotte Shields here and Luke Walters back from Cinescope. There he is, entering bonus points for style.
Yes.
Yes, so we're back across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X with more Type 40 Live for you. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the adverts. So your John Pertwee was flogging us the TV Times. Bernard Cribbins was riding a Hornby train set. Fabulous stuff. So what else have we stirred up some memories? I think we may have done in the live chat. Matthew V says the future of Doctor Who is endless escape rooms.
Love an escape room.
You could be right.
Love an escape room. They've got the Crystal Maze one in Manchester. It's fantastic.
Rob Alexander says that's a Mangle Wurzel and Wooden Aunt Sally. Oh, yeah. Classic Wurzel Gummidge series from the late 70s and the early 80s. Pertwee knows, says Lee Smith. Pertwee's knows. Well, I like the advert as well for the Pandorica.
Yes.
Where that sort of came together. I don't remember that. That must have passed me by at the time. But so it's it's all of the stuff from across the decades. There's lots of things. There's so much Doctor Who merchandise that came out between 2006 and 2012. It was virtually impossible to keep track of of absolutely everything. But I did try. I tried. Yes. So back to the here and now. Yeah, I do too, Anita. I do. I love a good show, and I think we're all hoping for a good show, a good showing from Doctor Who when it returns. That's on April the 12th there on iPlayer, obviously in Britain, and Disney Plus in the rest of the world. Now we did have, when was this? About a week and a bit ago, we got this official trailer for season 2, didn't we? And we went through it last week, if you remember, and we looked at the posters too, and how it's all starting, like the things that they want us to see in the places they want us to see them, so that we can interact and comment, and the circus sort of continues all over again, doesn't it? That's got to be, well, it's all to design, isn't it, Luke? These things get decided months in advance by all the partners, by Disney Plus and Bad Wolf and the BBC, everybody involved, really. It all has to coordinate. What they didn't plan on, I think, or what somebody hadn't allowed for, was another trailer appearing on YouTube and on X, just I think it was 2 or 3 days later, in another language, but containing loads of extra footage. It was basically a completely different trailer from Germany, from German Disney Plus, all there for any munchkin to see, with all these new clips. Yeah, if you're a German speaker, you were even better off. But I couldn't believe it when this leaked. Doctor Who has been plagued by leaks since it came back in 2005, but particularly since social media, since around 2011 and 2012, where you could sort of, I think there's a lot of sort of credit goblins out there, aren't there? People like to, I found it first, I saw it first, so everybody jumps on these things. So when I saw this, I have to be honest, Charlotte, I initially thought this was a prank, and somebody just cut up a load of clips and said, and just added the voiceover for a laugh. But no, it's a whole official second trailer. Have you seen this?
Well, I heard people talk about it. I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Different countries are going to have their versions of the trailer. And at first I thought it's just going to be the same trailer, right? And then when more people started to chat with me, Garbage in the chat sort of let me know, actually, there's brand new clips in this. Like, this is a whole different thing. So like you, I was a bit taken back. And I feel like you're right, throughout all of the new run, because of the change in media and social media, especially, stuff has leaked. But I feel like this run has done a really bad job at coordinating all the bits of it. Like, Disney's leaked episode titles before the BBC let them out. It just feels like they can't control what the left hand's doing from the right, sort of situation here.
Yeah, and these are 2 international players as well, and it does seem, it seems they've got more leaks than a sieve here. Yeah, very good, Domgo, very good. Somebody did German at school there, tittering at the back of the room. Yes, it is pretty much a completely different trailer, and I would argue, Luke, a better trailer, in the sense that you get a sense more of narrative, I feel, with it, because the story sort of starts with Belinda, doesn't it? We see her, some snippets of her normal life. I mean, we hear it as well, but unless you're a German speaker, you can't understand what's going on and what they're talking about. But you get the general gist of it.
Yeah, massively. And the thing is, as well, with these leaks, they're in Wales. There's plenty of leaks in Wales, and that was my joke, and not Peter Harrington's in the chat. Sorry, Peter. But yeah, no, I think the one criticism of the OG trailer was it doesn't seem that much like it's not as, there's no story to it. It's a collection of really nice set pieces. There's no story to it, and I think with this one, I think, and because of what's been said previously, I think this one is, which Bad Wolf commented earlier. I think this one is going to be a little bit more like Flux, a little bit more interconnected. I think it is going to have an overarching story, because Bad Wolf, Big Bad Wolf, mentioned that
Big Wolf is his brother.
Big Wolf is his brother. Yeah, it's what we said last week. It was like Russell is still writing 2005 TV. He's not writing streaming era TV, and the Flux is the closest thing. And I think lesson learned somehow. and now they've course corrected somehow. Even Wilf is big and bad, and that this is going to be a lot more akin to the streaming side that us as consumers are accustomed to now. And I think this lends itself more to this, and it absolutely terrifies me that they've got an historical episode set in 2007. That's absolutely terrifying. But yeah, I think we are going to see a lot
Belinda
more.
didn't look too happy with that revelation here either. I mean, last time and we won't go through this with a fine tooth comb, because I think you could sort of, it's largely the same in that you can't stitch these things together however much we try. But we are going to put up some images here on the view screen that weren't part of the last trailer, so you can at least see the different things people are wearing and the things that they're doing. And I think you're right. The impression I get is that the principle of it is getting generally sort of pared down, and he's got to get Belinda home, that she's not traveling with the Doctor, at least initially Charlotte by choice. That is kind of a novelty in itself of late. This is somebody who's got a life that she wants to get back to, and the actress being a little bit older, a bit more range. Yeah, maybe there's something that's a bit more affecting there, some more substance to it, which, yeah, it's only 8 episodes again, but I think that's what we need, really. We just want it to work a bit better than it did last year.
Well, yeah, and like we've all said, it feels like Russell's just going over his own old stories at this point, and the fact that he's actually, all of his previous companions were very happy to leave their lives behind. They ran into that TARDIS. They were sort of this, it was always this feel of, I'm going on an adventure, like I'm choosing almost. Except from Donna. But then even then, when she came back, she chose to be with the Doctor.
Yeah.
So now it feels like actually he's finally writing something that isn't what he's done before, or it's not a repeat. It's, like you said, there's sort of this mission statement to get her home. And that is different to Russell. And I'm looking forward to a companion which actually isn't so taken in. Like, that's refreshing. That is a bit more mature, like you said, has a bit more of an edge in the way of, actually she's going to be snarky, but in a good way with the Doctor, not in like a Clara way. No, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to actually call you out for stuff, which I feel like companions progressively have gotten bad, are actually challenging the Doctor, and I want a companion to do that again. So I
certainly pick up I certainly pick up a difference in attitude in this, and I do think that it looks different as well. We said last week when we looked at the UK at the domestic trailer that it had a slightly different, a richer feel, a darker ambience about it, and I get that from this as well. The trailer was removed very, very quickly, but from its original source, so it's still been region locked now, but it is still up on X in various unofficial places, so people can see it. If we were to screen it now on YouTube in particular, perhaps not on Rumble or Facebook or X, it would certainly result in this stream being taken down, so we can't play it. But these are some images up on screen right now. Retrodox says, I've heard that Belinda is in episodes 1 to 4 and 6, and Ruby is in the remainder. I don't know. I'm under the impression that Belinda's in all of them, but
that's the impression I got.
No, I don't really care. I'm quite happy to be told that story, Luke. You see, I want to roll along with this. I don't want to know too much, but in light of how some episodes last year looked, some of them looked like dynamite, and others looked like they were, well, really quite tawdry. Seeing stuff like this is just reassuring me a bit more. There's going to be something to look forward to, at least a feast for the eye is present. Lee Smith says someone has even edited all of these clips into episode order. How can they know? How can they know?
Yeah, I think I think one of the things with Doctor Who last year was it looked really flat on how it was shot. It was
At
quite
times
flat.
it did.
And this season looks great. This season looks fantastic compared. It does look like they're not doing 3-point line. They're knocking the light off, talking. It's kind of technical, but not really. But yeah, a lot more has gone into the cinematography this season. This season looks like it's got Disney money, where last season kind of looked like 2008 Doctor Who made in modern times. It was kind of a step back from the
I think we said
Chibnall era,
last
the
week, though,
Flux
Luke,
era.
the fact there were so few monsters in it meant that, in my view, yeah, you're quite right. It did have that kind of nostalgia, kind of stuck in a rut feel. But this one looks more like Doctor Who in the fact that there are monsters and robots running around. Like Peter Harrington says, the robots look like toys to me, like the 1950s kind of Fallout, Tomorrow World kind of vibe. I'm excited by that. I really like that. And we've got a good old-fashioned sort of toothy, grinning, sort of gobbling character jumping around here. You know, it's old-school thrills, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's a reason why creatures like this still scare the crap out of kids. It's because they're scary.
He's the real Goblin King. I think Doctor Who was known to hide behind your sofa scariness for the younger audiences, and I think we didn't have that last year. You had some bird people and a giant dog, which I refuse to call Suteki do. Thank you, RetroDoc. I think you didn't really have it last year. I think they lent a little bit too much into the whimsical side of things. I was like, but this year it seems like they're going for it. They've actually spent the Disney money, and it's like, cool. This season actually looks money for all intents and purposes. It's like, oh, cool. This is what we were promised last year. I was like, why is it come out now after the bad reaction? Obviously, they haven't course corrected because the series was already done and dusted, so they haven't gone back.
Obviously, people got very excited about this particular shot on screen because that does look like a Dalek extermination effect. I mean, certainly in the trailer, as posted in that German trailer, we see the people firing the gun at this character, and they're not Daleks, they're soldiers. But on the other hand, I believe the Daleks will be back this year. That's where I believe the smart money should be. Maybe the trailer's just been cut in such a way to make it look like it's not a Dalek fight. In the past, we've had scenes where they've swapped out the backgrounds entirely to make it look like characters are places that in the final episode that they're not. So this is just a bit of promotional fluff, isn't it? That's how they treat these things now, to make us feel certain things and only show us. They know what's in every single frame of this, whether you're watching in Germany or Britain or the States, and they know what we're going to think and the what we're going to put, how we're going to put two and two together, and what we're going to come up with, Charlotte.
Yeah, and it's like how Luke said. It's funny because this block was filmed after series 1 block. It was all one big filming, so they've not course corrected. But I've said last week, and then this trailer came out, and it really made me think. Whoever's in charge of the marketing, and I think this is somebody not from Russell's team. I think this is somebody external who's doing these trailers. They have been very like on the pulse of what fans were not happy with, and I think they are trying their best to sort of put this initial sort of look. This is the trailer I can cut to give you these vibes, these feelings, these sort of monsters. I'm going to chuck a load of. I'm going to show the companion in a certain light, and I think. Even the little teasers they've been doing on BBC, I've caught some more of like the floating bits of like random objects, like the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, there's several of those now.
Even that, I think that's so much better than what we had last year, because that's a mystery, that's a bit of intrigue. That makes you go, oh, why is that?
It's inventive. We don't need to be told it all. Matthew V asks, who is Belinda and why should we care? Well, the idea is we watch the series to find out. we haven't met her yet.
In these trailers, it's meant to sort of give you a tiny bit of her to make you go, oh, that's interesting. And I think that's what I feel like the marketing so far has actually done quite a good job with. It's got intrigue back, I think, a little bit. It's got sort of interest in that way back.
Yeah.
That the people who are willing to give this show another look in are actually being given something to sort of get their brain working a bit this time. Whereas last year, there was nothing really to get your brain thinking in the marketing.
Not a great deal, no. I mean, Bad Wilf and numerous other people have mentioned the robots that we saw earlier on, the big chunky sort of retro robots. And Domgo says that he believes those are the new Daleks. Again, that's more goofy culture war nonsense, isn't it? Of course, they're not Daleks. They're nothing like Daleks. They're great big robots. Come on. But what is the worst possible reading we can take of something? Go with that. I think we can be We could be a bit more reasonable. Of course, they're not the new Daleks, but whether they're riffs on things we've seen in other things. Again, the 1950s sort of aesthetic, and as Martin points out, they are similar to the robots that we saw 10 years ago or so. That episode that Greg Davies was in. You're quite right. But then we've seen most things that turn up in Doctor Who are things that we've seen in Doctor Who before, because there's been 60 years of it. It's a lot of it.
Yeah, like you said, that it's a callback. It's like you've got in this trailer the fact that they're going to be animated, and I've said for a while, Doctor Who should play with format when it can, and I've sort of put across this idea of a black and white. This is them playing with format, and if it's done right, I think this could be brilliant. Because you can have the idea of cartoon physics, of cartoon sensibility, of sort of Doctor Who playing in sort of, to me, that I think of original Scooby-Doo with all the jokes, which is funny we've had now because of Sutek, like that era of cartoons. But the only thing is,
I love this idea, Charlotte. Absolutely love it, because it's clearly part of the story.
yes,
If it was just an interlude of some sort, I wouldn't be keen. It would just be a gimmick. But if it's part of the story for a reason, I think this could be a lot of fun. I'm fine with this, I think, because we haven't seen it before.
yeah, and Leah's gone cartoon physics. I mean, there's stuff in with real actors you could never do. Cartoon has its own rules. And I think if you've got good enough writing, and this will all fall on the writing, all of this we're saying right now is all about how good the quality is of the writing here. And I was chatting with Garbage about this because he saw this, and we said that the only thing is with this, you have to be careful that it doesn't get too goofy. And that's the only little sort of thing with this. You have to have really good writing to pull this off. And I'm like you, I love the idea. I'm just hoping the writing does it justice.
I'd love an animated Doctor Who, full stop. A lot of people have taken the bait with this in the Daleks. If they turn Daleks into Terminator endoskeletons, then that's the nail in the coffin. The Daleks are a very lucrative trademark in themselves. You know, that yes, they have tried altering them before, and it's never gone well for them. I think we can safely say that that's not going to happen when and if they do appear. Just don't. Again, this is sort of people who are really black-pilled, who are putting this sort of stuff out there. What's the worst possible thing that they could possibly do, and go for that? And yeah, we were stung last year with Sutek. Who'd have predicted they would do that? But Sutek is Sutek. It's a really bad decision by Russell T Davies about a character who appeared only once. The Daleks are cultural icons. Come on, let's be reasonable. What are your thoughts about this animated episode, Luke, and the idea of splicing those two mediums together in such a way? Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Enchanted, all movies that have done that very successfully. The Doctor Who can do that on a TV budget, can't it? In a Hanna-Barbera kind of way, it should be a laugh.
Well, they just announced, didn't they, that they're doing they've commissioned the animations now in batches. So this is definitely going to be the new animation style for the DVD, isn't it?
It's not that far away, I suppose.
No, I think it's great. I agree with Charlotte. I think Doctor Who, if it can play around with form and do it quite well, then absolutely go for it. Look, kill me. I'm the minority. I like the Goblin song. I like the Goblin King.
I do too. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I've been singing it in nightclubs at Doctor Who nights. So,
okay, I've never done that.
yeah, it was with the Hooligans crew actually, so it was a bit of a mad night. But no, I think if you can play with form, and I don't think we need to have it be so regimented. And obviously, this character is going to be a god or something along those lines, isn't it? So it's going to have the powers of whatever it is to turn people into cartoon characters. Yeah,
it's a similar thing to the Land of Fiction, isn't it? Because isn't one of the characters in that out of a superhero comic that Zoe has read in the future?
Yeah, Captain something, I think he's called.
It's that in reverse, really.
Yeah, if Doctor Who can be, the Doctor can be Dracula, I'm sure he can be a cartoon. At the end of the day, it'll be Marmite. Some people will love it, some people will hate it, but I think you've got to try it. You can't have the same format for 60 years or 20 years and not try something new. They tried it with a musical bit with I was going to say Boom. Then Boom is definitely not a musical. Devil's
That's what it was missing. If only, then it would have been
Oh
perfect.
God, don't.
Turk Love is in the live chat and says Scooby-Doo type cartoons are not Doctor Who, for fuck's sake. Well, they are now. I mean, but again, Scooby-Doo type cartoons are not. In what context, Turk Love? I think. Do you understand what we're saying, though? I mean, that you can tell a Doctor Who story in that world, in that way. It's no. I agree with everything Luke said. I don't think it's any more outlandish than things that have been served umpteen times from the 60s to the present day. I think Doctor Who's tried to sell us on more ridiculous things in the last 5 or 6 years than that.
Yeah, and like we said, this is clearly the episode with the animated villain character. So at least it's not like it wouldn't make sense, for example, if in the middle of Rose they became a cartoon because there was nothing to justify it and it would be stupid and wouldn't make sense.
Quite.
Whereas you've got a villain which is hand-drawn. The effect of him is hand-drawn. That's what it's meant to evoke, at least. It's probably CG, a lot of it still, but it's in that look. So his power is clearly going to be to turn them into cartoons, it looks like, which, like I said, if it's done right, I think it's a really inventive idea.
The Carcass, says Stephen Braddock. That's the character in the Mind Robber.
Okay.
Yeah. Domgo is clarifying about the Daleks comment. It's not come out of my head. No, it's been talked about all over the place. I don't know about what you're talking about, but it's been talked about all over social media and has been now for several weeks since the trailer came out about the Daleks, and it's people with a lack of imagination speaking in bad faith, in my opinion, and looking for the worst possible reading to drum up a bit of engagement and a bit of outrage farming. That's literally all it is, and you can quote me on that if you like. I really do like the look of these sequences. I think they look mysterious and evocative and bold, and it's something Doctor Who has never done before. And I think if this series can continue to find things that it's never done before and they be appropriate and sit well within the rest of it, ideally. I know that failed last year. I don't think they didn't pull off the Devil's Cord. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but they didn't pull it off. Maybe they will pull this off. The nose is very pig-like, says Peter Harrington. That's this character, Mr. Rinky Dink or something it's called. I don't know. Matthew V says it doesn't look much better than Fear Her. I don't know what people hate Fear Her so much. I didn't dislike that.
Come on. This is better than Scribbles. That was what Fear Her was.
I never had any big problem with that. I haven't watched it for a number of years, come to think of it. But I thought it was all absolutely fine. But yeah, I think so far, I think the German trailer is better than the one that we got. Maybe we were due a second one anyway, Charlotte, like I speculated on last week. And we're always going to get to see this stuff. So maybe that's the one that we're actually going to get to see. But next time we'll be able to hear it for people who don't speak Sprechen Sie Deutsch, as I was taught when I was 13, 14. It would.
We can understand.
It is amusing, though. I'm amused by the idea that something somewhere leaks and people get sort of aerated about it and things get immediately taken down. And I don't know. I mean, is there this much of a circus around other shows? I don't think there is. There is still something about Doctor Who with Bad Wolf and Disney, even with Disney Plus involved, being on an international stage where every month there's a massive cock up, and I'm not sort of laughing at their expense. I'm laughing more for the fact that it's still the BBC, it's still homespun, it's still, even when it looks slick, it's still a little bit naff, and these things still happen. And at the end of the day, it's not going to cost anybody I would hope it wouldn't cost anybody their career. But it's certainly not going to cost anybody their lives or harm their health or well-being in any way. I think we should get try and get things into perspective a little bit, that yeah, we shouldn't. I don't want spoilers out there. I think it's good to hold things back. I like being teased, but I think we do take things a little too seriously now. And NDAs over a TV show is probably a bit much. And the other thing about this trailer as well, though, this second trailer, this German trailer, the biggest surprise of all is that there was still no crying sequences.
Telling you, somebody's had a rule in the marketing department. Do not show this bloke crying in the marketing.
No more of that. Let's keep stop him from crying, and then maybe we'll all be smiling. I don't know. Thank you everybody for all the comments, particularly if you haven't seen the German trailer, because it has been taken down. But if you know where to look, there's if you put the right things into the search field on X and on Rumble and on I think it is up on YouTube in a couple of places. I don't know. Then you should you should be rewarded with a look at it. Where's the Doctor Who version of Jessica Rabbit? Come on, BBC, says Retro.
Just
Some
you,
people
Gary.
are never happy. Yeah, some people are never happy. Mark Milford says the animated ideas make one think that the Doctor is still in the toy maker created realm. No, I think Luke's right. I think this is probably another one of those. What do they call them, Luke? The Pantheon, something like that.
The Pantheon of Discord, or the Pantheon.
It's Pantheon of Gods.
Yeah, the trickster, wasn't he? Was a member of the Pantheon as well. It's called the Pantheon of Discord. He was excommunicated. Getting into some Sarah Jane Adventures lore here. Someone's going to correct me on it. But yeah, I think Russell is leading a little bit more into the fanatical, because maybe that's where he wants to go with it, and he sees Doctor's always been kind of this magical show, I guess, to a degree, but it is kind of sci-fi really, but
some truth.
It is a bit fantastical at times. It's not as like hard sci-fi as you know what you see coming out on like Apple TV, who's the god of every sci-fi show has escaped my mind.
Foundation,
yes, there we go. Yeah, every show has escaped my mind as soon as I said it. Yeah, or Black Mirror.
We're here to back you up, mate. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, so I think we are going to get it a little bit more for this season. It does seem we got giant skeletons, but we have got the 1950s retro style robots and Scarrow looking buildings. So it's like we're looking. It's looking like a sci-fi. Like it's looking pretty slick, and yeah, we finally see where the Disney money's gone. So we're looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
Stephen Braddock says, "Good, no more crying a river." And Lee Smith speculates that perhaps Shooty Gatwa War.
He's going to do it. I still think plenty. I just think, like I said, marketing has been very savvy this time.
Don't doubt that for a moment, everybody. Average talent makes average shows. The fan deserves more than this tripe, says Nordic Lives Matter. We haven't seen it. The trailers, look, the people have been asking me about this since they came out. I believe both trailers are good trailers. I think they're really good. I would say that the Shooty Gatwa is clearly the weak link, which is unfortunate because the Doctor is not just the lead character, but this being Doctor Who is in the majority of the scenes. But I think that this does look like a considerable improvement from what we got last year. So let's if we can't think positive, and I think we are past the point where thinking positive is any kind of strategy or any reasoned response, then I think we can at least just look over the next 5 or 6 weeks and think, we get what we get. And how I approach it certainly is to take each week pretty much as it comes, Luke, and to, if I feel like watching Doctor Who that night, to sit down and sort of watch it in the best frame of mind that I possibly can. If they wear me down, then they wear me down. That's on them, not me.
By later night, you mean 8 o'clock in the morning, yeah?
I've forgotten about that. Oh, what am I going to do? Yeah. When am I going to watch it? How's it going? Oh,
why?
God.
That's such a bizarre reason. 8 o'clock in the morning. I still don't get that. Really don't get that. It's
all bizarre. Let us know what you're going to do when Doctor Who returns to televisions April the 12th. There, do you think we're going to get some more trailers? Is there a pattern to this? Is there some sort of code that we've got to crack? Then it'll all make sense. I think that could be. I think that could be a bit of a reach, but you never know, do you? You never know.
Hello. I'm Philip Roy, playing the Doctor in the Doctor Who fan film Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. I've been on quite an adventure, and this is most definitely the Type 40 podcast.
Yes, we've made it. We've made it. Thanks, Doc. Yes, so where would we go? Last stop, as always, is to remind you, that the talent and the dedication and craftsmanship out here in Doctor Who fandom is second to none. There's never any shortage of pretty pictures to distract us from our everyday lives as we scroll. They stop us dead in our tracks over on X or Instagram or whatever. We think, wow, who's done that? And the thing is, with all this fan art, it's got to go somewhere. We figured we may as well collect as much of it as we possibly can and whack it up on these bloody great big grey walls there for us to look at from now, until the next lot. Really, we've done everything that we can over the last few years to encourage and showcase Doctor Who fan art and artists in this, our gallery segment. And more, once more, send it our way or us its way. We don't really care how it works as long as we get to see more fabulous fan art, just like this brilliant piece, beautiful piece here from Chris Naylor. Obviously, Chris plays Harry Sullivan over on the Fourth Doctor adventures. I think he's with the Seventh Doctor. They spread him quite thinly too. Chris Naylor plays Harry Sullivan, but he's also a tremendous artist. And this is his portrait of Tom Baker that he recently shared on social media there in, I believe that's pencil crayon. This was for Tom's birthday this year, but he's got the haunted look in his eyes so perfectly, Charlotte.
That's what sort of struck me, the eyes. Like, there's a reason why people say your eyes are sort of the windows to your soul. And I think whenever people can draw that, that's even more amazing, because we've said before, Tom's got this erraticness and this wildness about him naturally with his look and like how he acts in the role. So to capture that is very, very impressive.
I think it's wonderful, particularly the choice of colour, that kind of burnt orange, Luke. Very unusual, but it fits, doesn't it, with the scarf somehow?
Yeah, it's very, 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 very talented. But yeah, the colour suits. I think it suits the time period. I think it suits the drawing as well. I think it's very, very good. Yeah, very haunted, as Matthew said. Looks like me after I've woken up after one too many Guinness, and I'm like, oh no, what have I done the night before? So.
Chris got this down perfect. Awesome, Chris. Fantastic Doctor Who portrait. So the compliments are unanimous here. If you're watching, Chris has been a guest on the show, so you can find our interview with Christopher Naylor here on the playlist on YouTube and on the podcast as well. Stephen says this is a fantastic picture of Tom. His classic haunted look. Several people say using that word, haunted. And Bill says, yes, it's amazing he's still around. In his 90s, it is. We're very lucky to still have Tom so active, still performing the role and encouraging all our silliness as well. He's seen things, says Peter Harrington. He has indeed, and speaks of them often. So that's Christopher Naylor. You can follow him on Instagram and X, as well as hear him on various Big Finish audios as Harry Sullivan and various other characters. But go and find him on X and see some of his amazing, just beautiful artwork. The James Bond stuff is even better. My God. So go and tell Chris how much you love his art and tell him that Type 40 sent you by all means. And next up is this piece, this digital piece. I love this. This is from Theta Sigma, one of several people called Theta Sigma up on social media. And it's a set of 4 battle TARDISes that are escorting a standard TARDIS, a Type 40. They're escorting it somewhere. I just thought this is really nice. I mean, anything to do with the TARDIS and TARDISes and Gallifreyan sort of tech, I love it anyway, to see which little elements fans have latched onto, Luke, and incorporated them into their twist, into their extension of the lore. I noticed, for example, the top of the battle TARDISes looks a lot like the top of the Master's tissue compression eliminator from the 80s. It looks a bit phallic, but there's other things. There's other things like the Sonics and various other things jammed in there too. I really like this.
Yeah, it's incredible, to be fair. So, I was technically a Doctor Who fan creator as well. You got to admire people are very, very creative, sometimes more creative than the show themselves. So yeah, wholeheartedly admire. Oh, Charlotte's back. Oh, so you nearly pulled the jack on this. Jeez. But no, yeah. Everyone that does stuff is very, very talented. No matter if they're drawing, they're doing CG work, they're going out making films, they're doing everything. You know, you got Phil Roy doing the fan film as well. You've got everyone. The love for the show comes out like so much in people's work, and I think that's a testament to how much people love it and how much the time and effort they put into it. So,
do you recognise either of you this design for the Battle TARDIS? I've never seen it anywhere before. I suspect it's Theatre's own. But has anybody seen this before?
No, and it's quite like it looks like almost not Gallifreyan, the design, doesn't it? It looks like some almost Dalek. It makes me think of.
Yeah, you could be right, actually. There's lots of different, but the roundel sort of things around the midsection remind me of the ones that are inset into Peter Capaldi's console room. So there's little things here and there. It's very, very curious and a little bit steampunk, and I do quite like it. Are they TARDISes or TARDI? Asks Garbage. And Stephen Braddock loves the imagination of the picture. Ezra Goldstein says it's interesting. And Peter Harrington says, yeah, I love Theta Sigma stuff. Wonderful TARDISes. Yeah, I think this is the first piece I've seen from this particular creative, but I really do like this. Anything with the TARDIS that looks like it could have been from past times, from before the time of the first Doctor. Really interesting. They look like jellyfish, says Lee Smith. Do they? I suppose they've got a tail.
Well, it's the sort of the bar things around makes you think of like the trails that jellyfish
tapers off. Yeah, fantastic stuff. So that's from Theta Sigma over on X. I think you can find Theta Sigma. So go and find them. Please tell them that Type 40 Live sent you. Tell them how much you like their work. And more importantly, we need some more. So send us some more. Great Big Walls need lots more artwork. So send it our way. You could be a fan artist yourself. We'd love to see your work too. So send that to us as well. Let us know where we can find you, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Etsy. Do you sell some prints? Have you got an online portfolio anywhere? We'd love to see to get some of your work showcased here up on our TARDIS Wars here at Type 40 Live across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X here on Mondays and Thursdays from 8 p.m. UK time. Wow, what a show. I think we've covered most of the things, some of the things we planned on covering, guys. Thank you so much for your company again. Luke from Cinescope. So remind them, so it's out, isn't it? How many episodes of Hooligans can people see now?
I've muted myself. Sorry, my headphones died halfway through that. So
I can hear you. Oh, okay.
So there's 4 episodes of Hooligans out so far. We got a screening in Manchester tomorrow. I'm shooting in Newcastle, then I'm going back to screen Hooligans. Stupid. I'm up at 5 leaving. We're going to. I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, so we got 4 episodes out. We got a big 2-part finale coming out April 12th, and whenever the Doctor Who finale comes out. Have a look at Cinescope Pictures. We've got loads of stuff on there. We've got I Made War of the Worlds. We've got I Made the Time Machine coming out. We've got Wheels, which I directed for BBC Wales. You've got Coward as well, which is a World War I film starring Francois Pandolov, who plays, I think it's Kai Kilius in The Fires of Pompeii, Peter Capaldi's son. We've got loads of sketches. The War Doctor, Jonathan Carley's in pretty much everything I make now. So have a look for him. He's front and center of everything. So people keep asking me as well, can I do Russell T Davis's voice impressions to go, Type 40 is absolutely fantastic, or it's brilliant. Brilliant. People have been asking that in the chat as well all night. I've seen. Apparently, I'm just a Russell T Davis impersonist now. That's what I do. So.
It's like you guys have never heard a Welsh person that isn't Russell.
Like I say, it's only Wales. It's not Mars. Thank you, as always, Luke, for your company. We're delighted that you're doing so many of these with us here. And if you want to learn more about the things that Luke's getting up to there with Cinescope, or everything that's going on with us at Type 40, you can reach out to us through our social media. As ever, Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. There's the Type 40 Facebook group too. You can join up there and share your fan art, get interacting, join in the conversation, start an argument if you like, or leave us a message over on SpeakPipe. That's new for 2025 across the podcasts and video content. Be part of Type 40 or from the palm of your hand. Okay, that's it for another one covering all things Doctor Who, the past, present, and the future. Join us again for more hot takes, cold shoulders, pet peeves, bouquets, or pot shots on the next Type 40 Live. Charlotte, that's coming on Thursday from 8. I'll see you then, no doubt, if you're free.
Yes. Usual craziness. Look forward to it, folks, on Thursday.
We sort of know what's happening. We sort of know a bit of what's happening, but we don't. Yes, we do. Sort of, yeah, we don't. We'll see. But we'll be covering some of the latest news, as always, as well as cherry picking from throughout the decades with a panel packed with opinions as ever. Thank you, everybody, for all of those comments. We need more of them, too, in the comments section. We'll get right back to you. Okay, yes, I think that's it for this one. We're going to go and run around the TARDIS just for there's plenty of room. We're going to run around the TARDIS for a little while. Don't miss the next edition of Type 40 Live, where we always have the time if you have the space. And yeah, that's it for another one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.